Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Erectile Dysfunction. I'm Jameson. Today we're going to talk about an issue that we all as snake keepers experience, but nobody really ever wants to talk about, and that is respiratory infection. Respiratory infection is also known as RI in a lot of the hobbyist groups. Over the years, many people have come up with different ways to combat RI, but the only really proven method is increasing heat, lowering a bit of humidity. A lot of people cut out humidity totally by removing water. These snakes are sick, they need to stay hydrated, that's very important for them. But increasing their temperature by 5 to 8 degrees will usually do the trick if it's a light RI, but a lot of the times you're going to need antibiotic intervention. In this case, I use my local vet, who is Nicole Zellner at Avian Exotics on Starkey Road in Largo. Best reptile vet I've ever used. I recommend her to anybody in the Bay Area. Dr. Zellner prescribed me an antibiotic known as amikacin. It's similar to Baytril. There's several reptile antibiotics depending on your state, what's commonly available and cost effective wise. We will be using a 0.4 milliliter needle. These guys are great for being able to slide between scales and getting into the interstitial skin, into the snake's intermuscular tissue. We will be using a 0.05 milliliter of the solution to inject into the snake's intermuscular tissue. We repeat this process every 72 hours. I like to keep it within about 3 hours of the time last medicated. You'll start to see great feedback after the loading dose. The loading dose in this case was 0.1 milliliters. We injected the first day of 72 hours ago, and a lot of the wheezing, everything has started to subside. The snake is looking much better, eyes clear, mouth tissue looks great, no signs of stomatitis, heavy discharge, excess breathing, any of that. Boas and pythons can contract respiratory infections the same way human beings can with the cold and flu. Colder temperatures, damp environments, pretty much too much moisture and coldness is what causes it. Some of these symptoms that they'll start to express is going to be gasping with their mouth open, heavy breathing. It'll sound like a wet wheeze coming out of them, and you'll start to see discharge coming out of the nostrils and mouth, and this will lead to stomatitis, which is mouth rot. Mucus will dry out around the mouth, creating infections in the mandible, all around the mouth. The way that boas and pythons have evolved is that one of their lungs has become vestigial and small, while the other one has stretched out, performing all respiration. Their long lung, the tissue is very thin from it being stretched out to accommodate a longer body plan. Due to this, bacteria, viruses can take hold very easily. So it can drop down over a night and snakes can start to show symptoms of it. In the wild, it's not nearly as common due to the fact that if a snake is cold and wet, they can go somewhere else. Move to high grounds, up in a tree, anywhere to get away from damp, moist conditions. We're going to move into the next step of prepping the needle and preparing it to actually inject the carpet python with. So what we're going to do is very carefully pick up one of these syringes, take off the sterile cover, or the sterile sheath off the top. You're going to want to be very, very conscious of where this goes, just also for the snake's well-being. These needles dull in very easily, and that's why they're only single use. You're going to want to get your solution upside down. Make sure that you're not injecting bubbles or anything. That's just as harmful as it can be for humans. So what you're going to do is just pierce the little diaphragm in the center of the lid. And you're going to pull out, and there's going to be some air in it. I'm going to say, let's go for 1.5 milliliters. You're going to look at that, pull it out, take a look at that, give it a couple flicks. A couple air bubbles did move up to the top of the needle. What you're going to do is go back into the rubber stopper, and you're going to push down on the plunger, releasing any of those until you get down to 0.05 milliliters. Pull your bottle out, you're done with that, and now get your needle sheath, cover up your needle, and now it's ready. Next step is pulling the snake out and calming it down enough to be able to get this inside of its bloodstream. Alrighty guys, we're back in the snake room. This is Ace. He is probably about a decade old now. He's a coastal carpet python. They're from mainland Australia. He is about 9.5 feet and about 12 pounds right now. This dosage of 0.05 milliliters of amikacin is approximated by Dr. Zellner for his weight and size. So your dosage is going to vary. That's a very important thing. Dosage will be dependent on weight. Alright guys, to properly inject this snake, we're going to go into the upper third of the body. We're going to want to go, say this is the spine right here, and the straps of muscle that run along it. And you can hear it breathing very, very loud right now. It knows I'm about to get it. Alrighty guys, and I want to pull the needle out. Here we go. We'll push down on that plunger. Pull the needle out in the same direction you put it. Keeping pressure on the injection site for just a second. And then that is a medicated snake. And it can go back to not being angry at me. The snake's already turned around quite a bit since. And these infections can happen very quickly. Within inside of a week, he went from being healthy, eating, to foaming at the mouth, coughing, all of that. So incredibly important to keep a visual eye on your snake's respiration, airways, stuff like that. This can be easily prevented, and if you do get it, it's something that does happen to all of us. If you have enough snakes and have worked with snakes long, you'll run into this, even if it's a snake you just acquired. Thermostat goes off on a caging unit. It's just something that happens. Just to finish guys, anytime you're prescribed by a vet or doctor single-use needles, throw them away in a disposal unit. Sanitation despises having to deal with this, so save them the drama and safely dispose of your needles. Alrighty guys, I hope today's video was informative and demonstrational. Like and subscribe is always appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Have a good one.